Oh, welcome back, everyone. Bienvenidos a todos. Uh, Hoy es el día cuatro. It is day 4. Welcome, and we have started ironing out our routine in the beginning, right? We're still playing loosey-goosey with all the things that we're doing in terms of Spanish because we got to normalize into a rhythm. Right now, and it's like the Wild Wild West at this point. Also, by the way, Sub-Zero, did you squeeze more time in your hunting escapades, or are you burned out completely now? What say you on the Monster Hunter front? All right, so we're gonna review our things. Played a bit, but right now you're catching up on projects. Ooh, what kind of projects do you have? All right, so for Unit 3, we're gonna do our usual kind of a makeshift thing now. So Unit 3, we're doing 1 unit a day because it's extremely fun. So we're playing catch up on our Spanish. So get around in a city. It's not gonna be comprehensive. We're gonna go as quickly as possible of the stuff that we have. So cities, we have locations, right? So el banco. El banco la calle, like la calle. Um, el supermercado. It's funny. The house is like La Casa is not even on this list yet. Bank, street, supermarket. Uh, that's fine. Let's cerrado to be closed, right? Cerrado. It was objects. Maleto. Maleta? Maleta. La maleta. I'll have to check that one. El boleto. El pasaporte. You just finished coding an elevator system. Oh, that's interesting. Like a literal elevator? Next projects are to implement a prefetcher for computer cache. Oh, and another is a data bus verification. You can't wait till this is over. I'm sure you're learning quite a lot. What is a bus again? What is a data bus? Like, I don't remember in what nature is a bus. Oh, thanks for that. Autobus. El autobus. Wait, were there any other forms of transportation? I don't think so. Oh, wait. Oh, el el aeropuerto. Puerto. We have our passport, tickets, and then we have some locations. Oh, we have the preposition a, to, en. Also possessions, me, who, 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 I don't think, no, that's it. Aquí. Está. For location usage. Está. Holy, how are you writing so fast? Yeah, it's a mini physical elevator that they have at the lab here. Okay. And it has to be programmed in C. Oh, intriguing. Honestly, it sounds super simple, but as soon as I started, you went down so many rabbit holes. Like if someone pressed that they want to go to floor 4, but then afterwards someone pressed that they want to go down from floor 3, it should handle floor 4 first. Yes. Yes. Isn't it great when you have to... Hey, I don't know if you have this feeling, but when I did my foray into programming language, it helped my logic so much. Like, what I mean by that is, it's not like my logic is broken, but it demonstrates the leap of logic when you're trying to see something as a generalization, right? So for example, when you see a task, you become well aware of what you automatically do in terms of leap of logic. And leap of logic allows us to be more efficient, right? We leap through a lot of things because inherently, whenever another situation occurs, we intuitively adapt to that leap of logic. But then when you go to program something, you realize that, oh wait, there's a leap of logic. Like, what happens if this came first and this came second? There's an order to the stuff. And I absolutely love programming languages. I think outside of learning a different language, right, like Spanish, Japanese, generally that should get you into it too, like when you're comparing it to your native language. But most people don't do that. People don't do like cross-talking or this type of thing, because I already had a conversation with someone just recently, and then another conversation yesterday about the whole immersion thing, right? Immersion, OG immersion, and comprehensible, some sort of application of comprehensible input as well. That's great and all, but man, learning a computer language, like a compute language, really does wonders for like tickling the logic sensors. I think the vast majority of my refinement of English logic, like thought logic, end up being very influenced by my Python days, the days when I had to wrap my head around Python, and then creating like switches and loops and especially incursion. Incursion, man. Okay, let's go back. There was about like 17 things. So this was fine. This was fine. Are there any more objects? I don't think there are any more objects. Oh, dinero. We have dinero. El dinero. Oh, and taxi. El taxi. Yeah, it's been fun but frustrating too. I think you'll enjoy here. You gotta find some ulterior motives to have it fun. Just think about it this way. Or at least my incentive, my plug for this type of thing. It's so frustrating, but man, when you start doing like debates, when you start talking to other people and having arguments, or like systematic questions and generalization, the internet is your oyster, Sub-Zero, to apply compute logic to most things. It's so much fun to do that, to like exercise and practice getting into the mood of things. Like you read a video comment, right? Or you read someone who does an overgeneralization. Immediately you're like, okay, well, let's get through our conditionals. How many parameters and conditionals do we have to pass through before this person's logic is sound? You know, someone tells you this is the best thing since sliced bread, and immediately your compute logic would tell you, okay, I have so many questions. Let's start with asking questions about every single parameter in which they can qualify that this is the best. So you're trying to get an output, right? Your output is that whatever this thing is the best. But how do you prove that this thing is the best? You need to collect all your parameters. You pass all your parameters and they have to meet all those checks. So when you think about all the checks, upper limit and lower limit stuff, you have all your makings of places where you can either refute their claim or they have to rebuttal and support and pass those conditional checks. It's wild, but it's a lot of fun. I do it all the time, like by habit. So what happens is whenever someone says, like, it's low-hanging fruit kind of thing. So if you have to pass like an all condition, right? Oh, or like the best condition, it's very ideal. So you immediately start thinking, okay, well, it's not true for the very following reasons until that person rebuttals, right? All the time, all the time. Yeah, pretty much, nearly all the time. It's like part of my facet of my thinking these days. I don't know if that's what you're thinking when you're doing programming logic, but I think the frustration comes from the convenience that our brain does when it comes to leaps of logic. Like, here's one that's really funny most of the time. You can probably find examples of this in programming. When you open something, don't forget to close it before you proceed. I'll let you, you probably have some anecdotes of where that ends up breaking your pipeline. When you forget to activate something and then deactivate it, so then you can proceed. Sometimes you activate something, you forget to deactivate the previous thing, and then you activate another thing, and it causes a crosstalk between the first thing and the second thing, and your whole like program breaks down, and you're wondering, why is this happening? And the moment you realize, like, oh yeah, I've got to turn off something that I didn't need to turn off. Or like, for example, opening a door and stepping through the door, you know, turning around, close the door, turn back around, and proceed, as opposed to opening the door and going through. And just assuming like the door, leaving the door open and whatnot is okay, right? Computers, you gotta guide them. Okay. So what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I think that's all of them. That's most of them. Anyways. I think it helps understand the process a lot. So I thought learning another language would kind of do this too. However, I think from my experience, it doesn't do it as much as I think it does. When you're learning a language, especially a programming language is inherently going to make you think of the process. You have to be a process-oriented thinker. It's so difficult to be a goal-oriented thinker in order to be successful in coding, because coding is inherently process-oriented. In language, you might think it would be, but I think the vast majority of people distill it down to a top-down approach. So like, how do you learn a language the fastest way? Go hang around with native speakers. So you're relying, which can be true, right? It can be true. It is true that it's a fantastic way to learn something. Is it the best way? Maybe. I'm not sure about that. However, it is a way. It's a top-down way of learning. You input without and you hope that your brain takes over, right? Your brain is doing all the process-oriented thinking. You don't need to cautiously think about it. And it's very appealing. It's one of the most appealing ways to learn a language. You synthesize the language subconsciously, right? The whole idea is if you slam enough input into your head top down, you're going to subconsciously understand and be able to produce the language. That's one way. That's why our brains are so amazing. Now, does it mean that process-oriented conscious learning does not work, like period? It doesn't work at all or in any way? I would beg to differ. I think it's a little bit of both. So oftentimes a great example of that is understanding a programming language. When you understand a programming language, that is something that, in my opinion, is a great antithesis to a natural language. Now, some people can say, oh, well, they're only talking about natural languages. It's like, okay, that's fair. Like, if you qualify that it's about natural languages, then sure. But for me, learning a programming language also allows you to appreciate process-oriented, conscious, process-oriented learning. And I was just talking to someone else recently about trying to differentiate between efficiency learning and intellectual learning, right? And it's a bit of a combination, but when it comes to efficiency learning, it's often about efficiency intuitively, not efficiency counterintuitively, because in programming language, it's not about efficiency, it's about nuance, exactness, right? So not only do people immediately get frustrated when they start a programming language, is they often think, well, why do I have to say all these things? Like, it's obvious that if you open a door, you're going to walk through the door, right? Why do you have to specify opening the door? And then, like, even more than that, if there isn't a module to move the object, and the object's module to move positions require positions, like, for example, door, you move hand to door, slide door open, put hand back down, right? Move right leg forward, move left leg forward. Like, it can get all the way down to the nitty-gritty of process-oriented thinking. And that involves specialized things like science. When you think about methodology, you have to concern yourself with process-oriented things. Now, sure, that might not be the most efficient way to learn language. This is the very common, in my opinion, analogy that I can come up with about the cult-like status of immersion learning, which was prompted by actually yesterday and today from a person. The idea is your brain makes things really efficient, and you might as well leverage that for language learning. But dare I say, start a programming language, and then it really do be getting deeper into how kids may have actually learned. I know there's a bunch of facsimile of people talking about, oh yeah, as a kid we learned how to do this and learn how to do that and the language, and then immersion is great because it mirrors what we did as a kid in some ways. And I say in a lot of meaningful ways it mirrors what we did as a kid. However, you can't remember what it's like when you didn't know how to walk or didn't know how to mechanically make a sound. Well, in programming language, all of the syntax, there's still shortcuts. Like Python is relatively high on the list. C++ is even lower language. But when you have to constructively even make up all the syntax and the logical steps, then that to me is a great challenge to the idea that no, you can learn a language consciously with process-focused things, not necessarily intuitive, but you can combine all of them, right? At some point, it's kind of both. You need like a goal or a thing to do before you break it down into the process that's necessary for that, like make an elevator or something. You think the most valuable thing this project has given you is troubleshooting. Despite all the time it has failed when clicking run code, I'm happy that I have been to have that. Oh yeah, that's why. Realization more quickly than before when analyzing, yeah, when reanalyzing your code. Isn't that so amazing? I think that's coding made me really appreciate catching my own mistakes and troubleshooting, because it's so mechanically logical, right? It's so mechanically logical that with due diligence you can correct them. That's one of those things where when you're learning a natural language, right, there's nebulous nature in a natural language, like, oh, will my accent be okay, or if I talk to a native, there's a lot of nebulousness, right? And that makes learning natural language have its charm. And on the flip side, coding languages is nearly the opposite. It's conscious due diligence. It's laborious at first, in my opinion. I agree, because most of the time we don't operate like that. We operate on the convenience of intuition and like subconscious automation due to repeated exposure. And to me, I'm glad you do programming, honestly. I'm not surprised. And here's the better coincidence, in my opinion. A lot of times, people who are interested in learning another language, at least on the internet, tend to have an interest in computer science, right? And then the computer science deals with programming. The weird thing is, I don't see how some people fully embrace, I mean, firmly solo immersion, right? When there are other skills that can be acquired by conscious process oriented things. Now, it might not be specifically for language learning itself, like a natural language, but man, constructed languages, it has the other like characteristics. So whenever like someone comes up and generalize things like that, it tends to give away what their preferences are. Yeah. But which, by the way, if there's anything that's more stereotypical than Duolingo, it's probably immersion is king. That's probably the comment that occurs far more frequently than even I use Duolingo. Cult-like status, right? And I could get into a huge digression about it, but we're gonna do this in the interest of time for now. I have a running hypothesis, or a running opinion piece on how to negotiate what it's like to be someone who likes to take a holistic approach to learning things like coding and problem solving versus constantly falling into a rabbit hole of overgeneralizing and relying solely on a single way of thinking. Because a single way of thinking is incredibly efficient as long as you focus on it, right? And self-motivated and pre-selected to be dedicated to the belief that the system works. I think placebo is very powerful, even in the pre-selection process. And when someone says, oh, there's evidence to support this, pre-selection is terrible. Like, sampling in general, in my opinion, does not meet at least my standards for providing that it is adequate to support certain theories, like immersion only kind of theory. In my opinion, it's a hot take, but I believe in both, just both in general. You're curious, was there coding in your molecular biology? There wasn't. At the moment, cellular, it was a CMDB program. So cellular, molecular, structural biology umbrella departments tend to be independent of computational like bioinformatics. They are part of the engineering department a lot of times. So you take the thing about the programs in graduate school is your boss can approve, and your department can approve extracurriculars that are necessary for your thesis. So if you require, like for genetics, high throughput sequencing data and stuff, if you require to take some of those things, you can hop over to the engineering department or the comp science department. They're kind of like one in the same, like, general area. They're kind of next to each other. So I took a engineering class. It might have been a comp science class. I'm not sure which department. It might be in both departments. You feel like this wasn't a thing in the past, but recently it seems like coding is used as a tool in every single STEM major. It is. I would agree. It was, and still is used as a tool in most STEM majors. They didn't have that appeal at first. What I mean by that is, you're in your 20s, right? They have been in the STEM major for a really long time already. It's part of the STEM major. The difference is that coding is different now. It requires a more aptitude, but tools like that and knowing how to use tools like that have existed predating both of us, probably. Probably not predating me, but you might have been like a teenager when it became a thing. So like, since the advent or introduction of personal PCs, right, and maybe even a little before, I don't know, it was fairly early on when being able to use these tools was a requirement. Now, coding of those tools, like being able to create your own tools, that is definitely a recent addition. And it was still a recent addition when I graduated around 10 years ago. It's weird because you feel like coding has almost become a core subject now. Your girlfriend told me that her little sister has Python in her math class. I was like, what? She's like 12? I think it's great. That's cool that she has Python, especially Python. Python is easily the closest natural bridge, in my opinion, from natural language to native, right? Instead of using word natural, native, it's the highest native programming language. So then you can go deeper into a lower native language, languages that are farther from native. And I think that's a great way to teach or apply logic and process-oriented thinking and problem solving. That's pretty sweet, in my opinion, to know that in fact, having it in math class is fantastic, because if you have to do proofs like stems, right? STEM majors require process-oriented thinking, scientific method. I can't tell you, reading, at least from the people that are around my age now, or like maybe somewhat your age, when they go around and think about methodology, it falls well short, in my opinion. Not in the sense of short for practical use. I think for everyday use outside of the STEM majors, you don't require this type of like logical thinking and whatnot. But Python, and then later coding in general, really does prime people to exercising a conscious level of methodology design. So instead of relying on intuition and like haphazard leaps of logic and synthesis, you're more inclined to normalize being incredibly pedantic, like to the point where some people who think they're being pedantic, they're jumping on lots of steps. I think if you're interested in the STEM, if you're involved in any form of STEM career, it requires some sort of discipline in logical systems. And you don't have to take logical systems. For example, like logical systems is like terrifying. You know, it's kind of like you don't have to take psychology to understand behavioralism and conversationalism, right? You don't necessarily have to do that. However, it's very great. It's like a nice primer. If you get frustrated by coding mistakes, that is a tail, and you can't like normalize it, or you choose never to normalize it, science is not for you, honestly. Like, I feel the chances are you'll be far happier in a creative process, like a feeling process, like artwork, construction, and like if you can't internalize that kind of thing, man, your methodology is gonna wreck your career, right? When you're writing methods, it's like the core. What does a method? Methods is even looser than a Python script. Like, if you can Python script, in my opinion, you can probably do your due diligence to create a experimental method. I think nowadays what people qualify as an experiment with an adequate methodology, it's like hand waving, right? Imagine trying to explain how to acquire Spanish, for example, by using Duolingo, or how I was reading the advertisement, like the mission statement and the about section for Dreaming Spanish, which I think Human Being suggested because I wanted to know what the developers believe behind their design, Dreaming Spanish. And it was a whole host of he said, she said, these are the evidence. But when I look at the evidence, it has like a bunch of loopholes and concerns. And it basically was an immersion algorithm, right? An immersion thing built on using YouTube video formats, and it works. It works really well, probably, as provided that all your given conditionals are true. Self-dedicated, monetarily invested, mindset invested, and also they're interested in the YouTube content that was curated, right? And then OG immersion works. If any of those fall short, it'll depreciate the product, right? And when they were talking about it, like, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, no qualifications, like what aspect of this does not work, why is it this way, what does these address? None of that is ever explained. When you're reading a product, right, when you're going on their product page, and Duolingo is the same, you go on their product page, it's usually truncated with a lot of inferences, presumptions, and targeted marketing. And that is not a place for STEM majors. STEM majors, when they read an advertisement, in my opinion, it's not that it's bad or good, it's the pragmatic use. When you read a statement, immediately, if you're not asking yourself like 16 or 17 different questions about the parameters of what this person is saying, because they're only telling you about the results, you know, they're using their results to present a methodology without metrics or how it came out to be, then you're in the right place. It's probably a STEM major. If you like programming, that's the first thing you ask. When someone tells you, oh, this worked for you, how? Explain. And then you're like, what do you mean, how? Explain. Well, let's start with the first one. What was your time frame? What is your output? What are your inputs? How do you moderate upper limits and lower limits? What are the lower limits would be like break days. What do you do when you normalize break days? How are you measuring all these things? Those are the stuff that really gets you going, and they become like a regular thing when you're in a field, especially in a STEM field, in my opinion. It's really good. Yes, we used to have another math software to plot graphs when I had math in middle school and high school, like another math program. That's interesting. But it's not used in industry at all. Using that time to learn something like Python, where you can plot graphs and do lots of other stuff, is way better, in your opinion? That's fair. GeoGebra. Oh. GeoGebra. Oh, I get it. GeoGebra. Okay. Um, it's way better. I can kind of see that when you're talking from an efficiency standpoint, like if it's not used in industry at all. I'm surprised that you didn't manage to extract disciplines from the math software. Um, okay, there's a leap of logic here, Sub-Zero. The leap of logic is you assume that no matter what you learn wouldn't be used in industry later. This is only after the fact. So that observation that you made is post facto. Where like if you learn something, you're expecting it to be relevant in industry later. So if you started in middle school and high school on any program, like say you the question is like logic, right? There's no way you would have known. Not saying it's useless, but if Python can do the same, it's also used in industry. That's why it wouldn't be later. Only after the fact. If you start learning Python now in middle school and high school, you don't know if Python is going to be standardized in the industry later. You can try, but this is only after the fact. So logically speaking, you could be learning anything and always promoting the extraction of information and hoping that it be applicable later. So if I was a student, for example, in middle school and high school, I would extract whatever I think is the core foundation of that software and then hope that whatever industry later, it doesn't fundamentally change that fundamentals, right? So in the end, here is my rebuttal, my counter rebuttal, a slight rebuttal. But I still think, obviously, ideally, if you're learning something that's going to be used later, absolutely, that would be the most efficient way. However, if you don't know that, which you can't possibly know as a kid, and no one and people around you can't possibly guarantee you that it is, but in this case, I think the stuff that you're learning, the fundamentals will consistently transfer to later. And when you think about what is the most, like, when you say better in your opinion, it could be negligible. As in the things you learned with your software, it had the capacity to teach you all the fundamentals that makes adopting Python later negligible. And not only is, you might be thinking, well, then the other stuff is a waste, but then you have other ways of thinking when using Python. It's very difficult to qualify the value of something if it does not exist later in application, because it may never happen. That's what you're assuming. There's no value because it will never happen, or it may happen, just not right now. That's kind of like looking back on your old art pieces and didn't realize how much of an impact they had until it actually happened. So if it hasn't happened, it doesn't necessarily mean it's better or worse, because the logic dictates that just because it didn't happen yet doesn't mean it has no value, right? That's being a stickler, though. If you're gonna work, I love that Python is being taught at an early age, because it's been a long time coming. When I was learning Python, everyone was talking about, but what about C++, right? What about C, right? Oftentimes it's C versus Python. Now I was thinking, no, hear me out. Why not both? But I think Python even earlier than C, right? So you have that natural, smoother transition. So it's pretty cool to hear that your, what was it? Your girlfriend's little sister is having Python, because then she can transition into something else, which may not be an industry standard. Right now Python is pretty okay, but I don't think it's an industry standard. However, learning Python means that she'll have the basis and foundation for anything later, which is pretty cool, right? All right, for real now, we're definitely starting this. Okay, so here's what I remember from Unit 3. And also, I need to go over my mobile session. So yesterday, As I already mentioned, there's a podcast here on the mobile front. Podcast. So podcast was about, so Lily, the apathetic character, Lily was the hostess this time, as opposed to Lucy, and she overheard Laura talking about going to places, and Laura, like how I imagine you, Sub-Zero, sometimes. Is this you, Sub-Zero? I'm not sure if this ever happens to you. So she needs to go to places, but she forgot her passport and her ticket. I'm kidding. I don't think you're a forgetful person. And her ticket. And I think she left her passport in the museum. Museo. So that's, and then Lily made this really apathetic comment like, "Oh, all right. Well, I can't help you, can I? Thank you for sharing how you're forgetful and forgetting the passport and ticket when you have to go travel. Bye now." Like Lily's comment was very snide. It was pretty great. And then down here was the adventure. So adventure. And the adventure was getting a ticket. So you played as Lily, and Lily went to the counter that was run as B, and she wanted to purchase a ticket. So she wanted to get a ticket. However, B asked, "Where's your passport?" Pasaporte, right? And you had to direct Lily to her luggage, and it was a purple luggage to match her color. And then you had the choice of like a sandwich, a hat, sombrero, and teléfono, right? Your phone. And then there's the passport. So you grab the passport, and then you grab your ticket. And that was the adventure. It was kind of cute. There was a cat. It looks like that cat is canon. So the weird blue, like chubby, roundish looking cat was in it. So that's definitely canon. Anyways, that's the review for unit 3. Now we're gonna go into unit 4, which we have new things today. New things. We have stories. So this is a mix-up as well. So I don't know how far we're gonna go. How much time do we have? We have like about an hour and a half. We're gonna try to go through this and see how long it takes. And now we have 3 stories, but this story got rerouted. So the mobile thing for tomorrow, my evening mobile session, we're gonna have to talk about the difference between mobile and this. So this part, the track is about this long, but they tweaked it. So now there's like a podcast in here somewhere, or exchanged out, and then there's the adventure still. But I think my experience is incredibly positive. It's so much fun. Like, obviously there's someone out there rolling their eyes like, well, language learning is not fun if you want to take it seriously. And I'm like, okay, I guess. 5. Okay, so we're ordering food and drinks. I love my favorite topic. One of my favorite topics.
Dos.
I guess now we learn how to count as well. Like ordering more than one thing. Maybe up to 5? Maybe 5? I can see it going no greater than 3. Like uno, right? Uno, dos, tres.
Tres.
El restaurante. El restaurante.
Restaurante.
Holy Oscar, please. You gotta cut me some slack. I can't do that.
Restaurante.
Oscar, please have mercy. Forget it. It's gonna take a restaurante. No, that's not happening.
Un restaurante.
Un restaurante.
Un restaurante.
Oh man, we're just gonna keep going.
Uno.
Uno,
1, 2, 3.
uno, dos, tres.
1, 2, 3.
Uno, dos,
3.
tres. Tres. Okay.
La
La
mesa.
mesa.
Una mesa.
Una mesa. Okay. Una mesa. Las personas. We have plural. Right now we have plural. Article.
Las personas.
Las personas. Las personas.
Para 2 personas.
Para dos personas. That's where I thought about 5. Like you have a group of 5 people or something. So this is para. So for our next preposition, for 2 people. So, para dos personas. Yo necesito una mesa.
Mesa.
Feminine, right?
Para
Para dos
personas.
personas. Una mesa, para dos, por favor.
Para. Por.
Oops.
Por.
Ah.
Por favor.
We don't get into typing until the second set, so... Oh, and I gotta remember to turn on my IME. Okay. Pescado.
El pescado.
El pescado. Oh, el queso. La carne. Yeah. La carne. I can't do it.
La carne.
La carne.
Carne.
Carne. I'm not doing the roll. I can't. It's still too
La
stiff.
carne.
La carne.
El
El
queso.
queso. El sandwich.
El sándwich.
Oh, el sandwich. I don't know why I said la. El sandwich. El sandwich.
Con queso.
Con queso. With. Okay.
Un sándwich de queso.
De queso. This is like or, right? Yeah. I'm doing like this hand motion, like one or the other. Right? De? Oh no. Just kidding. This is a modifier. Duh. This is the modifier duh. Right? Chinese duh. But de. That's kind of funny. I don't think I've ever made that connection before. Right? Pretty sure, because o is or. Un sandwich de queso. Yeah. I didn't even make that connection. Unlikely connection between the and de.
Un sándwich de pescado.
Pescado. Yes. Un sándwich de pescado.
Con pescado.
Con pescado. Okay.
Una hamburguesa, por favor.
Hamburguesa. Una hamburguesa, por favor. Okay. Okay.
Mesa.
Hola. Yo.
Queso.
Eso. Pescado. Con carne.
Carne.
Carne. Una hamburguesa. Por favor.
Favor.
Una.
Una hamburguesa.
Hamburguesa.
Hamburguesa de pescado.
Pescado.
Pescado. Okay. It's fine. We're still good. Sugar, right? Oh no. Azúcar.
El azúcar.
Azúcar. What?
El azúcar.
Azúcar. Oh, I can't do the R. El azúcar. El azúcar. Azúcar. It'll work itself out, I believe.
El
El
café.
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 Café? Question mark. Coffee? Café? Mi café con azúcar, por favor.
Azúcar.
Azúcar. El beso.
El
Yeah.
vaso.
El vaso. Oops. I don't want to talk about el vaso. Ah! Oh, I was thinking of glass. I wasn't la taza. I was thinking of glass. Oh no. Okay.
Una taza.
It's fine. A cup. Taza. Actually, I don't know what a cup is. Interesting. Taza.
El vaso.
El vaso.
Un vaso.
Un vaso. It's fine. It's fine. La naranja.
La naranja.
Naranja. El jugo, right? El jugo.
El jugo.
El jugo.
Un jugo de naranja.
Un jugo de naranja. Jugo. That sounds kind of weird, just saying in orange juice.
Un café sin azúcar.
Sin azúcar. Sin without, right? So a coffee without sugar.
Sin azúcar. Por favor.
Sin azúcar, por favor.
Por favor.
Sin leche, por favor.
Sin leche, por favor. Now milk, please. Easy peasy.
Queso.
Queso.
Taza.
Taza. ¿Dónde?
Tren.
Mesa. Okay.
La taza.
La taza. All right. El tomate. El tomate.
El tomate.
Tomate.
¿Con tomate?
Con tomate? Ensalada.
La ensalada.
La ensalada. Let me see. Why am I saying end? La salada. Ensalada. La ensalada. Oh, it's because I didn't say the article. That's right.
Una ensalada.
I don't remember salt being sal. Una ensalada. Okay.
La sal.
La sal.
Sin sal.
Sin sal. Okay.
Uno o dos.
Uno o dos. Yes, there's the O. One or two. Uno o dos.
O.
La ensalada con o sin. Oh, con o sin.
Sin.
Con o sin sal. Oh, I didn't even think about that. With or without. Con o sin.
La cuenta, por favor.
La cuenta, por favor. The check, right? The check, please. Cuenta. It's also amount, like just amount. So check is an amount of something.
Cuenta.
Account and bill. Yeah.
Yo
An account.
necesito la cuenta.
Yo necesito la cuenta.
Yo quiero pagar.
Yo quiero pagar. Pay. So I want to pay. Yeah, quiero is I conjugated, and pagar is one of the like the two phrases. Pagar. To pay. I want to sell it.
Yo.
Yo quiero una ensalada.
Quiero una ensalada.
Ensalada. Okay.
Yo
quiero pagar.
Pagar.
Pagar. Yo quiero pagar, pagar la cuenta.
Yo quiero
quiero
pagar
la
la cuenta.
All right. And that was it. That's a lot of vocabulary. What the heck?
La taza.
La
Un
taza.
jugo de naranja.
Un jugo de naranja. Right. Ella come pescado en el restaurante.
Restaurante.
Restaurante. Ugh,
Yo quiero pagar la cuenta.
I'm gonna say it slower. Yo quiero pagar la cuenta. Cuenta.
Yo quiero pagar la cuenta.
La cuenta. Cuenta. I want to pay. Check. Yeah. Yo como una hamburguesa. Hamburguesa con carne.
¿Cómo?
I was trying to flick my tongue there.
Un
Didn't work.
sándwich de queso.
Un sándwich de queso.
Una hamburguesa. Por
Un-
favor.
Una
Una
hamburguesa. Por
Por
favor.
favor.
Un vaso de agua.
Un vaso de agua. Vaso.
Un jugo de naranja, por favor.
Un jugo de naranja. Por favor.
Una hamburguesa de pescado. Gracias.
Con queso? La mesa. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know if anyone's done the little like childish thing, but I can't say this. It's explicative. I mean, it's explicit. Like there's like vulgarity, but I still remember kids back in the day when they say La Mesa! Exclamatory. I'll let you just like the desk, La Mesa. I remember there was a mnemonic where how do you remember that La Mesa is desk? You slam your hand on the desk like La Mesa. Fool, you know, whatever you want to put in there. But I still remember that those kids back in the high school days when kids like slammed their desks to say La Mesa in order to remember that it's table. Con queso? Because you're asking, do you want it with cheese? The table makes absolutely no sense.
Uno, dos.
Uno, what? Uno o dos.
Dos.
Yes.
Una taza de café, por favor.
Una taza de café,
De café.
por favor.
Por favor.
Okay. All right, and then we're pretty good. Let's go legend this stuff. We're good. This stuff's good. Taza. Taza is the one that I'm not as
Sin
familiar with.
tomate, por favor.
Sin tomate, por favor.
Un sándwich, por favor.
Un sándwich, por favor.
Una hamburguesa de pescado.
De.
Dos. De.
Okay. Con pescado.
Con o sin azúcar.
Con o sin azúcar.
Lo o.
Un jugo de naranja.
Un jugo de naranja. Sí, sin azúcar, por favor. Azúcar.
La cuenta.
La cuenta, por favor.
Por favor.
Yo quiero pagar.
Yo quiero pagar. Okay. We have to type soon. After the story. Yo como una hamburguesa con carne.
¿Cómo?
Para ella, una ensalada sin tomate, sin sal, sin queso.
Okay, so now we
Gracias.
have the multiple choice responses added to the list now. So we have dialogues and responses now in Unit 3. So they're still expanding still. So para ella una ensalada sin tomate, sin sal, sin queso. Gracias. La mujer come ¿eh? Una ensalada? Ensalada. They didn't want tomate and queso, which eliminates that. So that's kind of cool. That's fine. That's as efficient as you can get. Quiero pagar la cuenta, por favor.
Buenos días. Una mesa para dos, por favor.
Okay. La persona está en un restaurante, right? Restaurante.
¿Uno o dos?
Uno
Un
o
o
dos. Necesito un beso de agua. Beso de agua, por favor. Un beso de jugo. Una taza de café.
Una.
So this is the gender verification. Una mesa para tres personas, por favor. Every time I say personas, I'm thinking that I'm saying an English word because of persona, right? And now I'm thinking like, oh yeah. It sounds right because you say persona in general.
Dos.
Dos personas.
Un.
Un restaurante. All right, now let's do our story. What is this about? Good morning. Okay. Time for a story.
Buenos días. Buenos días, Priti.
Preeti is Vikram's wife.
Buenos días, mi amor.
My love, mi amor.
¿Dónde están mis llaves?
¿Dónde están mis llaves? Interesting.
¿Tus llaves?
¿Tus llaves? I guess. Yeah, I mean, she's just asking where it is. I'm not sure if she can't find it per se.
Sí, necesito ir al trabajo.
Trabajo, yeah, to work. I need to go to work, right? Ir al trabajo.
Necesito las llaves de mi carro.
Oh, is that a... Oh, that's a upside down, yeah. So, necesito... Oh! Whoa, jeez. I was gonna try to slide it in. Necesito las llaves... Las llaves de mi carro, yeah. De mi carro. Oh, and then they added the exclamation mark at the end, okay.
Priti, tus llaves están aquí, en la mesa.
I like the yeah. Pretty. Tus llaves están aquí en la mesa, right? On the table.
Perdón, mi amor, estoy cansada. Trabajo mucho.
Aww. Perdón, right? Perdón, mi amor, estoy cansada. I'm tired. Trabajo mucho. I worked a lot, right? Choose the options that mean tired. Oh. Cansada.
¿Quieres café?
¿Quieres café?
Sí, por favor.
Aquí está, mi amor.
Aquí está, mi amor.
¿Dónde está el azúcar?
Aquí está. Okay. Where the sugar is. What is putting sugar on her keys? Putting her coffee on the table, looking for sugar for her coffee, yeah.
Ella bebe su café.
What the heck? Oh, the narrator. They added a narrator voice.
Ella bebe su café.
So they're narrating that she's drinking the cafe.
Ay, no.
I know. ¿Qué?
¿Qué?
Eso es sal.
Eso es... Oh, rip. She grabbed the salt.
Pretty, estás muy cansada.
Yeah, you're very tired.
Sí, necesito más café. Con azúcar.
No,
No
con
con
sal.
sal.
Oh, that's kind of cute. Riti was so tired that she put salt in her sugar, in her coffee. Trabajo. Cansada. Paro. Aquí. Por favor. Right. That's kind of a cute story. I love it. Can you legend this? Oh yeah, you can totally legend this.
Buenos días.
Buenos días, Pretty.
Buenos días, mi amor. ¿Dónde están mis llaves?
¿Tus llaves?
Okay.
Sí, necesito ir al trabajo. Necesito las llaves de mi carro.
Oh, they're the same. Interesting.
Pretty, tus llaves están aquí, en la mesa.
Perdón, mi amor, estoy cansada. Trabajo mucho.
Oh, and these are the
¿Quieres
same for
café?
legend.
Sí, por favor.
I love the ¿Quieres café?
Aquí está, mi amor.
¿Dónde está el azúcar? Ah, aquí está.
Ella bebe su café.
Ay, no.
¿Qué?
Eso es sal.
Pretty, estás muy cansada.
Sí, necesito más café. Con azúcar. No con sal.
Amor. Perdón. Buenos días. Aquí. Trabajo. Okay. All right, let's go. Let's continue. We have an hour. Okay.
Tú.
Tú.
¿Dónde?
¿Dónde?
Agua.
Agua. Uno. Uno. Dos.
El restaurante está cerrado.
Oh my gosh. El restaurante está cerrado. Ugh, so stiff. Stiff.
1, 2, 3.
Uno, dos, tres.
Yo necesito un restaurante.
Okay. I need a restaurant? I guess. Oh, we get to type now. Uno,
Para 2 personas.
dos,
1, 2, 3.
tres, tres. Oh,
Una mesa para 3 personas.
mesa. Uno necesito un restaurante. Restaurante. El restaurante. Está
Está
cerrado.
cerrado.
Hola, buenos días. ¿Una mesa para 3 personas?
La persona está en el restaurante. Okay. Una mesa para 2 personas. Una mesa para 2, por favor. Para 3 personas. Wait, does tres have a accent? No, it doesn't. It's only one syllable. Why am I asking?
La carne.
Oh, well, actually, you still have stress on it, even if it's one syllable. La carne. Or la carne. Whoops. I was supposed to click first.
Español.
Español.
Autobús.
Autoboost.
Adiós.
Adios.
Carne.
Carne.
Con carne.
Con carne. I'm trying so hard. Carne. I'm trying so hard to
Un sándwich de queso.
flap my tongue. Un sándwich de... ¿Eh? Queso.
Queso.
Con carne. Con carne.
Una hamburguesa con queso.
Queso.
Queso. Un sándwich, por favor.
Oh. I hit enter. I meant to hit the apostrophe. That's a problem. It's too close to the enter button.
Con
pescado. Okay, hold. Trying not to hit my sándwich.
Un sándwich de pescado.
Un sándwich de pescado. Oops. Okay. Con queso.
Una hamburguesa de pescado.
Pescado.
Para el niño, un sándwich de pescado. Gracias. Para ella, una hamburguesa.
Para el niño, un sándwich de pescado. Gracias. Para ella, una hamburguesa. Right. El niño come un sándwich. Una hamburguesa de pescado, por favor.
Una hamburguesa de carne, por favor. Con queso.
La hamburguesa es con queso. Okay.
Un sándwich, por favor.
Okay. Try not to accidentally stretch for my... Accidentally hit the enter button. Okay. Next one.
Un café con azúcar.
Un café con azúcar.
Pan.
Pan.
Dos.
Tu.
Vaso.
Vaso.
¿Un jugo de naranja?
Un jugo de naranja? ¿Ne? Oh, you jugo me. How dare
jugo
you?
de naranja. Jugo.
Okay. Sin leche, por favor.
Una taza de café, por favor.
Una taza.
Taza.
Okay. Sin azúcar, por favor.
Una taza de café.
¿Café? Café.
Un vaso de agua.
Vaso de
Una
agua.
taza.
Una taza. Okay. Un café.
Café.
Un café, por favor.
Favor.
Ella come una manzana.
Manzana.
Yo bebo un jugo de naranja.
Jugo.
Right. Drink and eat. Un café. Café con azúcar. Okay. Un beso. Un café. Café sin azúcar. Azúcar. Alright.
La cuenta, por favor.
La cuenta, por favor.
Tomate.
Tomate.
Pescado.
Pescado.
Taza.
Taza. Gracias.
Yo necesito la cuenta.
Yo necesito la cuenta.
Niño.
Niño.
Pescado.
Pescado.
Taza.
Taza.
Sal.
Uno o dos.
2 o 3.
2 o 3.
O.
Sin sal.
Sin sal.
Yo quiero pagar la cuenta.
Pagar.
Yo necesito pagar.
Con o sin. Con sin leche.
Leche. Para ella, una ensalada sin tomate, sin sal, sin queso. Gracias.
Wow. Okay. La mujer come una ensalada. Ensalada. Okay. Yo quiero pagar. Yo quiero pagar la cuenta. Yo quiero una ensalada.
Un sándwich, por favor.
Sándwich. Una mesa para tres. Tres personas, por favor.
1, 2, 3. Tren.
Ah! I'm so
Dos, un.
I was so impatient. I heard the T and that was it.
Un restaurante. Español.
Yeah, you don't need the de. Or oh no. Restaurante español.
Español.
Un español restaurante. Oh
Español.
no. Oh no, I think it's after. Oh, is it before?
Español.
Is it before? I gotta test before. No, it is after. Yeah, my natural inclination is to say it's after, but I wanted to make sure. Okay, that's a good test. That's a good test because English and Chinese and stuff, it's optional to me. Whether you say it's before or after, but largely because of the mixing of the languages. But un restaurante español was like the natural feeling, like, oh, that's what that sounds like. But I wanted to see if they accepted both directions.
Una.
Una mesa para dos personas.
Dos.
Una
ensalada
de tomate.
Un vaso. Okay.
Un jugo.
Un jugo de naranja.
Naranja.
Por favor. Pagar. Yo quiero pagar la cuenta.
Una hamburguesa, por favor.
Oh no, hamburguesa. Yes. Hamburguesa.
1, 2, 3. 3.
Heck you. Yeah, let's legend this. We got legend all day. Salad. Sin azúcar. Por favor. Okay. Para. Uno.
Con carne.
Con carne.
Un café con azúcar.
Un café. Con azúcar.
2 o 3.
Dos o... Oh, wait. Dos o tres. Oh, I missed.
Una taza de café, por favor.
Café. Ella come una manzana.
Manzana.
Yo bebo un jugo de naranja. Jugo. I said jugar. To play an orange playing. Jugo. Okay. Sin tomate. Tomate. Una taza
Taza.
de café, por favor. Un vaso de agua, por favor.
Vaso.
Okay. Una hamburguesa de pescado.
Pescado.
Pescado. I should stop saying pas. Pescado. Yo como un sándwich. Tú comes una hamburguesa.
Una.
I said probably. Una hamburguesa.
Un restaurante.
I might have skipped the article entirely, actually. Un restaurante.
Gracias, la ensalada está deliciosa. Quiero pagar la cuenta, por favor.
She ate a salad. It was delicious. I want the check now, right? Yo quiero una ensalada. Ensalada.
Buenos días. Una mesa para dos, por favor.
Restaurant. Asking. There are 2 people going to a restaurant. Okay. Now let's do personalized. Oh, only 2 personalized practice instead of 3. Oh, this is different. Oh, interesting. Let's strengthen your weakest grammar concept. Tu eres Juan. Okay. Interesting. Oh, that's a different like depiction. I think personalized practice did used to say that in some way, and then they just fell by the wayside. Yo soy un niño. ¿Ne?
Soy.
Ella es una niña.
Es.
Tú eres Juan.
Okay.
Es ella. Es ella.
Ella.
Oh.
Tú.
Tú eres
Eres.
María.
María.
Él es un hombre.
Ella.
Ella es
Es.
María. Right? This is personalized practice, so it's unit 1. Right?
Ella.
Ella es,
Es.
una mujer.
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 Es.
Ella es una niña.
Niña.
Él es una niño. Tú eres Ana. Tú eres José. José. Alright.
Tú eres Juan.
Tú eres María.
María.
Tú eres José.
La mujer bebe agua.
La mujer bebe agua. Niña. Niño. 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 Soy. Agua. Pan.
Un hombre.
Okay.
El hombre.
El hombre. Soy un hombre. Oh, no. Un hombre.
Yo soy un hombre.
Yo bebo agua.
Yo bebo agua. Juan comes manzanas.
Juan.
Oh. Did I type comes or come? I meant to type come. Juan come manzana.
Yo soy un niño.
Yo soy un niño.
Yo bebo. Tú bebes. Él bebe.
Get some typing in. Typing. Alright. Oh. I forgot. You can legend these too. El. Manzana. Agua. Yo. Niño. Okay. Eres María. No. Tu comes pan. Oops. Dang it. Do I need an article? Do they take an article? I'm kind of curious. They don't take both articles. Oh, they said the apple. Dang it. I wasn't reading instructions. It says the apple. I was trying to test. I thought they just wanted apple, but they... Dang it. I wasn't reading. My bad. Cannot read instructions. Mujer. Como manzanas.
El.
Leche.
Leche.
Manzana.
Manzana.
Soy.
Okay. Bebo leche. Whoops. La mujer bebe agua. El hombre bebe agua. Oops. That was a typo. El agua. Ella es una mujer. Oh, that's not how you do that. It's like this, then this, right? Yeah. Él es un niño. La niña. Un hombre. Tú bebes. Oh, dang it. So, tú bebes agua. Hey. Our second story. A date, they say.
Una cita.
Una cita. Yeah.
Bea está en una cita en un restaurante.
Bea está en una cita en un restaurante.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Bien.
Oh, who's this gentleman?
¿Qué quieres comer?
¿Qué quieres comer? Oh, what are you gonna eat?
Una ensalada. Hoy tengo un partido importante.
Interesting. Un partido importante. That's ooh, interesting.
Ah, ¿te gustan los deportes?
Interesting. Los deportes.
Sí, yo juego al fútbol.
Football, of course. It's football. Yeah, partido is game. Oh, you can highlight this. Oh, interesting. Okay. I didn't even realize you can mouse. I keep forgetting that Duolingo has a mouse over for these things. Yeah. ¿Te gustan los deportes? Is asking if you play sports. Actually, how do they translate? Do you like sports? Sorry. Do you like sports? B is ordering a salad because she's playing soccer today, I guess. That's implied, right?
Yo también.
Oh, really? He plays football too.
Súper.
Super. Interesting.
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres? Where are you from?
Soy americano.
Soy americano.
Mi padre es de Cuba y mi madre es de México.
Mi padre es de Cuba y mi madre es de México, right? So my father is from Cuba and my mother is from Mexico.
Me encanta Cuba.
Me encanta Cuba. Enchanted. We'll really like Cuba.
Cuba es muy bonita.
Cuba is very beautiful.
¿Tienes mascotas?
¿Tienes mascotas? Do you have pets? Oh, I have no idea what pets was. Mascotas. Oh, that's kind of cute. Mascotas for pets.
Tengo 2 gatos y un perro.
Okay. 2 cats and a dog. Un perro.
Yo también tengo un perro, José.
Also have a dog. También.
Yo me llamo Daniel.
Daniel. Wait.
¿Tú no eres Gabriela?
Tú no eres Gabriela. Oh. Okay, they just randomly decide to introduce themselves. So, that's Daniel. Wait. Yo me llamo Daniel, but tú eres Gabriela. Oh no. Mistaken identity?
No.
No?
Yo me llamo Bea.
Yeah. I'm like, what? Is her last name or her first name? Like, uh-oh. Did you guess that? Bea and Daniel are walking their dogs, bought tickets to Cuba. We're supposed to meet different people. Oh. Ah. That's why the Oh, because maybe he was expecting something, a different detail.
Una mujer camina hacia Daniel.
Sorry, I had to cough. Una mujer camina hacia Daniel. Daniel.
Una mujer camina hacia Daniel.
Okay. So, walks towards, yeah. Caminar hacia.
Hola, ¿eres Daniel? Soy Gabriela.
Womp womp.
No, lo siento. Soy José.
Smooth. Very smooth. It's like, hello, are you Daniel? I'm Gabrielle. It's like, no, sorry. I'm actually Jose. Daniel lied to his real date because he likes Bea. Oh, what a smooth. Wow, and it just ends there. Wow. Dang. That's cold. That's really cold. Restaurante. Eres. Ensalada. Importante. And bonita. Wow. He just totally just... Dang. Alright, we're gonna legend this too. Let's go.
Una cita. Bea está en una cita en un restaurante.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Bien. ¿Qué quieres comer?
Una ensalada. Hoy tengo un partido importante.
Okay.
¿Te gustan los deportes?
Sí, yo juego al fútbol.
Yo también.
¡Súper! ¿De dónde eres?
Soy americano. Mi padre es de Cuba y mi madre es de México.
Me encanta Cuba.
Cuba es muy bonita.
¿Tienes mascotas?
Tengo 2 gatos y un perro.
Yo también tengo un perro, José.
Yo me llamo Daniel. ¿Tú no eres Gabriela?
No, yo me llamo Bea.
Una mujer camina hacia Daniel.
I wonder who Bea was supposed to meet, actually.
Hola, ¿eres Daniel? Soy Gabriela.
No, lo siento. Soy José.
Brutal. Bonita. Bonita. Oh, it's also nice. That's true. Oh, yeah, that's right. Padre. Perros. Comer. Ensalada. Oh, interesting. Comer was used. Alright. Oh, yeah, I think we can still keep this paste for a bit for now.
La carne.
La carne. Okay. Con pescado.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. 3.
Una
Tres.
mesa.
Una mesa. Una mesa para 2 personas. 1, 2, 3. Una mesa.
Un restaurante español.
Restaurante. Un sándwich de pescado. Un sándwich con queso, por favor. La carne.
Carne.
Carne. Yo como una hamburguesa de carne con queso. Right. Yep. Just eat at a restaurant. Sure. Una mesa para 3 personas, por favor. Una hamburguesa de pescado, por favor. Okay. Alright.
1 o 2.
1 o 2. Necesito
¿Con tomate?
con tomate. Disculpe. Un café sin azúcar, gracias. Azúcar.
Yo necesito pagar.
Yo necesito pagar. Una ensalada con o sin tomate.
Sin sal, por favor.
Sin sal, por favor. Disculpe. ¿Eh? Disculpe. La cuenta, por favor. Excuse me. Ensalada. Un jugo de naranja.
Naranja.
Con tomate. Oh, ne. Con tomate.
Yo necesito
La cuenta. Un café. Por favor. Una taza de café.
Carne o pescado.
Carne o pescado. Okay.
Un
Legend this.
vaso.
What? Una tazo. No. Oh, vaso. Tazo. Taza. I was gonna say una taza. I didn't hear it. I was talking over it. Un sandwich. de queso.
El restaurante está cerrado.
Wait.
El restaurante está cerrado.
El restaurante es cerrado. Está. Whoops. Wrong. Helping. Con o sin leche. Oh boy. I keep forgetting to put the question mark first.
Una mesa para 3 personas.
Una mesa para 3 personas.
Una mesa para 3 personas.
That's it? Okay. I was gonna say please, but you know. Have it. Yo necesito una mesa.
Una hamburguesa, por favor.
Hamburguesa. The fish. Okay. I'm reading now. Pescado.
Sin azúcar, por favor.
Sin azúcar, por favor.
Yo quiero pagar
la
cuenta.
El sándwich. La cuenta, por favor.
Una ensalada de tomate.
Una ensalada con tomate? ¿Ne?
Una ensalada de tomate.
De tomate. Uh-oh. Okay.
Un jugo de naranja, por favor.
Naranja, por favor. Un café con leche.
Una taza de café, por favor.
Café, por favor. All right. We got last story. Story time. One thing, huh?
Una cosa.
Una cosa. One thing.
Lucy está en casa con su nieta Lynn.
Okay. So Lucy is the aunt, right? So Lucy is in her nephew's not nephew, her niece's house. Lynn.
Ay, no. Necesito pan para mi sándwich.
¿Vas al supermercado?
Sí.
Yep, time to Lynn and Lucy have a lot of bread. Nope. Vas al supermercado. Right? Gotta go to the supermarket for some bread. Or sandwiches.
Ah, necesito una cosa del supermercado.
I need a thing. Oh. Just by coincidence, she has a thing that she needs to.
¿Qué?
¿Qué?
Un tomate, por favor.
Un tomate, por favor. Okay.
Es para mi ensalada.
Ensalada.
Está bien.
Gracias. Ah, y también quiero 3 manzanas.
Also, 3 apples.
Está bien.
It's fine.
Y
Got
jugo
it.
de naranja.
Orange juice.
Lynn,
Please.
Y leche.
Y
por
leche.
favor.
Tengo
Una idea. Vas conmigo, right? Vas conmigo. Just come with me instead.
Aquí está el dinero, Lynn.
Never mind. Lucy's got it. It's like, here's the money. You go to the supermarket. Oh, that's kind of cute. Instead of going together. I was just gonna say, vamos. Alright, let's go. Or vamos contigo. Vamos contigo. I'll go with you instead. Or you can come with me.
¿Qué?
Yo quiero una cosa del supermercado. Pan.
Yeah, because she only needs one thing. Bread. Why did Lucy give Lynn money? Lynn is going to a restaurant. Lynn is opening a sandwich shop. Might as well. She wants Lynn to go to the supermarket, yeah. That's kind of cute. ¿Qué? Supermercado. Gracias. Nieta. Oh, it's granddaughter, not... Oh, okay, so she's the grandmother. It's granddaughter. That's... And what is nephew? What is niece? Yeah, granddaughter. Okay. Tomate. So, hijos and hija, right? It's probably hijos and hija. No, that's son and daughter. What the heck is... Hold up. What is a niece? Oh, sobrina. Right, sobrina and... Is there a separate one? Or is it just sobrino? Yeah. No. Way off the mark. Yeah, hijos and hijas is son and daughter. Nieta. Okay. Now I've learned what? Got refreshed on 2? 3 things. Okay.
Una cosa. Lucy está en casa con su nieta Lynn.
Ay, no. Necesito pan para mi sándwich.
¿Vas al supermercado?
Sí.
Okay.
Necesito una cosa del supermercado.
One thing.
¿Qué?
Un tomate, por favor. Es para mi ensalada.
Está bien.
Gracias. Y también quiero 3 manzanas.
Está bien.
Y jugo de naranja.
Lynn.
Y leche, por favor.
Tengo una idea. Aquí está el dinero, Lynn.
¿Qué?
Yo quiero una cosa del supermercado. Pan.
Pan. Nieta. Casa. Oh, there's casa. Quiero. Tomate. Right. Okay. I think this one was really cute. I like this one. That one was great. Alright, let's do our trophy. And we have... It took an hour and a half, so that's pretty good. El tomate. Okay. Español. Oh no, not español. I looked at Spanish. El café.
Un sándwich de queso. Una ensalada.
Carne o pescado. Oops. typing hard.
Una
Una hamburguesa de pescado. Yo necesito pagar. Una mesa. Una mesa para dos personas. ¿Ne? Oh, just para dos, por favor.
Por favor.
Okay. Un jugo de naranja. Un vaso de agua, por favor. Uno o... Ups. Uno o dos.
Yo necesito la cuenta.
La cuenta. Para 3 personas.
Sin azúcar, por favor.
Azúcar, por favor. Con o sin azúcar. Azúcar. Oh boy, I forgot the question again. Eventually, we'll get this. Well, that was fantastic. Man, that was a lot of fun. 28. Let's see if it includes all 28, right? So we're averaging about 20 vocabulary words a unit. I have some problem ones. Definitely have some problem ones. So, yes, pagar. Ensalada. Or we're gonna add the genders, right? La ensalada. El tomate. Quiero. Yes, quiero. La cuenta. El sal. La sal? El sal. Kind of seems like an el. Yeah, el sal. La taza. La taza. La naranja. Naranja. El café. El vaso. El jugo. Sin is con, so yeah, there it is. Azúcar. El azúcar. La carne. El queso. El pescado. Yeah, de, with, or of. Yeah, there it is, with. Con, no, with. Con. Sandwich. El sandwich. La hamburguesa. Hamburguesa. Dos. Para, yeah. Personas. Mesa. Restaurante. El restaurante. Uno. Tres. So 1, 2, 3. People. Tomato, hamburgers. Orange juice. Are there any? Nope, that's everything still that I can think of. Outside of the stories have way more, right? The stories have way more than the lessons. But these are the lesson ones. Like we had like trabajo. Nieta, right? Nieta was something I need to remind myself. Idea. Pero, gato. Plenty of extras. Deportes, right? Los deportes. Football, right? Football. Partido. Importante. Yamo, Yamar, right? Yamar is or is still missing. So, but plenty of other things to look forward to. We got lots of extra things. So they're contextually. So the stories are contextually as one might expect, right? The personalized practice is pretty much the same, and then the adventures are contextual as well. So they add lots of other things in that you can infer with the sentences or the vocabulary focus that you already have. It doesn't prevent you from knowing the right answer, but it also supposedly, right? Supposedly, if you're active enough, acquire those other things too as you go down. And the podcast is the same, but podcast doesn't start in the older version until unit 6. Yeah, this is the first podcast, but we've already had 2 podcasts on the mobile front. And let me double check how this is different from the mobile. Okay, so what do you have on the mobile one? Okay. So, grab my SD tablet here. So on the mobile one, this is still the same. Whoops. And the personalized practice is still here. Then, okay, and then the second half is different. So this intriguing. Oh no, it's not. It's the same. Or no, it's not. So there's a podcast here. Which, and then this still is fine. So these things are good. And then there's one story, and then there's a adventure here. And I don't know, I think this might have been replaced for a podcast. Let's see what topic this is. A date. Was this the date podcast? Oh, so okay, so this got moved down here, and this disappeared. So what is this podcast about? Fish sandwich. So it's a different podcast. Yeah, so that's what they swapped up here, it looks like. So we still got the podcast and the adventure. However, short one story, which might be in the next group. Let's see. So the bottom one is one thing. Oh, you can't view it yet. Oh, yeah, it got moved. So the story got shifted. So while this is not here anymore, this one here got shifted down here. So I'm guessing it just keeps shifting. They shift one down over and over again. So yeah, so that's the new thing. So I'm gonna be doing the podcast, right, and the adventure on my own time. And then again, there's also the stars that I'm gonna do. I do the stars as well. And then maybe like practice some stuff. There's like other features like daily events. I like doing daily events. They're like matching and whatnot. So daily events. When I'm walking around, whenever I need to like get up and stretch, I would pull out my phone and do a little here and there. It goes the same for Chinese. For now, Chinese and Spanish. We're gonna bring back we're gonna continue doing Japanese soon. So pause on that. Yeah, and that's it. Lots and lots of fun. Very time efficient, but then again, to me, time efficiency doesn't replace quality, right? The quality of the. So far, I totally get why SRS is great, and then Duolingo is fun, but you don't retain as much per se, because they do make it a lot of fun, and it kind of makes you complacent a little bit. I'm also still catching up with refreshing on most of my Spanish. I'm still expecting to know like 90% of the Spanish until like section 3 or something. But we'll see how far it goes. And I absolutely enjoy this. It's great to interact in a self-study way. I did say a little bit of hot take here and there about OG immersion and like comprehensible input. The idea is, personally, I don't think there is rigorous enough evidence to support a quote-unquote best way. Most of the time, I do above and like a mix of everything. And in my opinion, the more core aspect of doing all of this and showing all of this is self-selection. Before there is an effective method and all that, there's also measuring and dealing with self-perception, right? So one thing that is often in my opinion, a problem a lot of times that gets glossed to the side when it comes to your preferred method or whatever you believe in that works for learning is the person. Oftentimes the most ideal case is painted as a way to maximize a method's selection, right? I think one of the biggest criticisms in all around when it comes to people presenting their methods, their best methods, is the self-selection process. So for example, how is it really, we were talking earlier about programming language, is it really how significant is the leap of logic when you think going to school, which inherently people have to juggle a lot of other things, right? And also it's obligatory. And if you're one of the persons saying, I hate school, right? And they're using that as a fundamental basis to compare something that is immersion based, OG immersion, and that immersion base often is not in the same situation as in obligatory school format. You're ruling out self-selection. So as great as these self-study tools, like self-study tools that promote that they use immersion or comprehensible input and formal schooling, all these things, you're self-selecting yourself. Are you in school? Most of the time, as far as I know, anecdotally, people don't like being in school. It's prescriptional. So when you're thinking like, oh yeah, the formal education structure and whatnot doesn't work, it doesn't help people learn anything about language, it's just a waste of time, that kind of thing, there's a self-selection process involved. You're comparing different conditions, and those conditions are often glossed over, right? The success, in my opinion, a lot of the success, not that I'm saying one works better, one works worse, I think it's actually quite negligible given considering the circumstances. I think someone is able to use both and leverage a more dynamic appeal, right? Without formal schooling and prescriptional, or like anything prescriptional, you have no way of gauging your comprehensibility. So if you're going to choose to immerse yourself, right? Your immersion is absolutely, as part of the greater input hypotheses and stuff, it's dependent on your ability to gauge your comprehensibility. Like what is your competence now? How comprehensive is something? You need something prescriptional in order to understand where your competence is. You can assume certain things if you want and go straight into immersion and say, yeah, that's it. But that creates stagnation. It's dependent on the self-selection. If someone is not always self-improving, maintaining a due diligence, discipline, even, dare I say, be adaptive to prescriptional scheduling and whatnot, they might lack the discipline already to even be adherent to something that is immersion based, right? Now, the caveat here is it might, in my opinion, it might seem like certain methods are more effective or efficacious over time for other people at different stages, but the selection is selecting for specific stages of learners, in my opinion. I think it is very important to highlight that humans do the self-selection when it comes to what method, as an adult, that you prefer to learn a language. So, for example, if you believe immersion works for you and you understand and you're matured competence, you probably have a better gauge of what is comprehensible to you. Now, if you drop someone into a immersion only mindset when they have no level of understanding or something, exposure of their own comprehensibility, you can create a system that allows them to figure that out, right? Or create a system that provides that for them. And yes, that would probably get them to the language fluency, or it's probably sufficient, right? I do like the word sufficiency. I think that's a for lack of a better, sufficient way to argue that a method is sufficient. Whether it is the best method, that is in my opinion, a marketing stunt. And generally speaking, no attention to targeted marketing, self-selection happens when they're describing their product. Like, hey, among the dedicated users that we have, they share positive experiences. But an immersion can fall so far, so short due to self-selection. There are wonderful cases, anecdotally speaking, heritage speakers, right? You could be immersed in many things and still passively not intuit those things. And it can be very, very closed off. Especially when the material in a lot of these apps are curated. So yes, you do have to trust them that they're curating material that gives you a swath of stuff. But in the end of the day, even those stuff will expose you to certain things, and then it is up to your competence and maturity to acquire native content that is relevant to you. So the question I ask most of the time, or focus, is, does the product encourages you to be exploratory about understanding how you learn? Like, it's one thing to be very efficacious and do all the thinking for you. It's another thing to be able to determine how to self-evaluate, understand what your comprehensibility is, how you achieved it, what does the program do, or what is the theory and the mindset behind it. So in my opinion, being able to understand all these things create more of a well-rounded experience that create consistency, not idealism. Ideal efficiency. Ideal efficiency is assuming that you and everyone else is the same. Individual spuriousness, in my opinion, is not negligible. However, I will make a disclaimer, a hot take. I'm not a professional language learner, right? So I didn't spend half my life curating a popular theory that has reached cult status, for better or for worse. And for that reason, I think, all due respect to that person, they use very strong language, and especially those who present their products based on a very, very popular theory, as well it should for those who believe it. I think there is room for all of the above. So when people talk about things, they talk about extremes. Like, oh, this is the best. Well, it's sufficient. It is entirely arguable if it's the best. I think especially coming from people who choose to cherry pick and ignore certain specificities in their like hypotheses and their suggestions. It's not to say that you can't use it and believe that stuff. Strong language to me seems like a red flag for overselling one's hypotheses, right? Especially when there's not enough clarity. Like for example, sure, immersion's great, and then you suddenly sell a product where the immersion content, right? The immersion content is disinteresting to that person. That, in my opinion, supersedes a lot of things. It is in the consideration, but it often is brushed aside. It's superseded or overshadowed by the emphasis of efficiency. It's like, oh, how long did it take you? Well, it took me less time. We retain more of this stuff. It's faster. It's more intuitive. It's like, well, yeah, that's great, but what about the person? Now, individual variability is why we have these discussions, in my opinion. It's at the core of why there's consistent and still controversy around the way people acquire a second language. Admittedly, though, in the end of the day, I don't think there's any malicious intent, right? Generally speaking, it's great to hear that people can almost exclusively do something and claim to have done it. All the power to them. I'm not here to evaluate if someone is fluent or not. And somehow, to me, it is so difficult to believe that someone exclusively, self-diagnostically said that they only input and then they were flawlessly able to output something. Like, that's the extreme type of language. They had no problem. They were considered fluent out of input only. I think it's sufficient. That's great. But when it comes to strong language promotes strong language. So when you're saying things like, I read a product page, right? Someone's saying, oh, this is just wrong. It never works. It can't work. I think that type of strong language makes me feel like I'm reading a sell, not a really well, precise, written consideration for their product. It's to sell you on the product. And there are definitely certain methods that are way more trendy right now, largely because I think they coincide with the pre-selection process. Those who, for example, a very strong pre-selection is those who hate formal education, dislike formal education, or being prescribed anything that they initially do not enjoy, tend to favor immersion, for example, because immersion is intuitive. It's very provocative in the way it goes about. But erasing that obligation is one of the foundations of why maybe one could consider formal education is being underrated or maybe even overly criticized. In my opinion, one of the things that make me open to immersion, self-study, Duolingo, and all this stuff is the idea that I was obligated to learn how to troubleshoot and understand my capacities when things are prescribed to me. So yeah, in the world of the internet, to end this little disclaimer, it's going to come up more and more often because I'm starting new projects, and new projects tend to invite people who have very strong opinions. I'm glad all those things work for you. Unlike people who are efficiency learners, those people who focus on how fast they can do something, I'm looking for critical thinking and problem solving skills that are involved in language learning. So call it a trade-off, but oftentimes there are other skills that can be gathered from doing things that you don't want to do. And then also the best way is dependent on your goals, right? And immersion does provide a very strict goal that it appeals to that target audience. So if your target audience is to do certain things and it appeals to you, that's great. Those people, in my opinion, claiming that something else doesn't work by selling it short and cherry picking the aspects that their current approach do well, in my opinion, is not necessary. It's actually uncalled for. It almost seems amateurish to me. Because if your product is the best way and it works the best way, it doesn't require a half-effort critique of your opposing methods. And I feel that's what type of product placement happens. And I'm not saying any particular product, but generally speaking, marketing strategies are that way. They use strong language like it doesn't work, it never works, or it can't possibly work better than this, that kind of thing. Like, well, they're different enough that I can guarantee you I can list a couple skills that aren't within the scope of that product, and they don't consider it because it's up to the user to figure that out. So when you're operating on confirmation bias, you have strong opinions. When you aren't operating on confirmation bias, it can be a little bit more reserved over time. So I had obviously this is triggered by the recent conversation. Oftentimes people who have extremely strong opinions, I tend to have a very stock rebuttal, largely because I still believe it's very efficacious, is sufficient. Rarely do I ever think something that's obviously contentious and controversial and requires that someone convince another person is obviously not the best. If it was the best by default, I even think that business models and people who go around talking about their study do not have to contend that it is, because if it is truly the best, there's no argument. With that said, though, it is fun to discuss about these things. And I'm no stranger, right? I immerse when I am not streaming. Unfortunately, it would be kind of fun to get a sponsorship or something that allows me to not get copyright slapped in the face for using immersion content. The thing that was suggested the other day was a service that uses YouTube content, right? And restreaming YouTube content is a very hairy business. It's very difficult to determine if it's fair use, right? And I don't want to cross that bridge if I don't have to. So in the end, though, I still use a combination of all the different types of inputs. I actually do not undersell or oversell, in my opinion. I try not to undersell or oversell output versus input. I think that whole binary kind of thinking is someone who is backed by a lot of experience. At the same time, I'm not a person with that lots of experience, so I like discovering that. So this probably won't be the last time I talk about the whole inputs, immersion, comprehensible input. And I'm only talking about this superficially, obviously, from an opinion standpoint. I do not claim to know all the intricacies of the way someone's hypotheses, which is a prescription, by the way, because of how strongly they talk about it, and then products that are presented as a one-stop shop. It rarely is ever that elegant, in my opinion, and I have skepticism all the time when it comes to how strongly someone voiced something. Call it a logical safety net, a check and balance, if you will. Anyways, there you have it. Wanted to make a little commentary. This is great. I'm enjoying it. I have no idea where I'm gonna go with the Spanish thing. We'll find out later. That'll be another time to think about it. So this is the end of our session. Thank you for hanging out. If you're hanging out, if you're gonna watch this later, Gracias, muchas gracias, right? So until next time, hasta luego, right? Take care, and hasta mañana, perhaps. And yeah, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye bye.